You know what's really interesting about working from home while being on quarantine? You would think, considering this is where you do your job, you would get more work done. But alas, here I am Friday night filming one video the day before it's supposed to go up, and I've got nothing done, and I don't perceive that changing because time is slipping away from me. Hello, it's Kendo here. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, what is up? Home Skillet Biscuit. I come to you day 6 of quarantine. I'm still wearing a hoodie. Lucky you, it's a different one. I'm not as disgusting as you think I am. This last week of quarantine has been quite the experience. I've done nothing but bored/stress eat, which has resulted in me impulse buying an elliptical, a whole ass commercial sized elliptical just in my living room. Considering I've already in this last week gained 5 pounds. It's actually kind of impressive, actually. All I've done is eat and play video games. Oh my God, I have a Twitch now. Like, actually, I use it now. Everyone follow me on Twitch. It's KennieJD there as well because I'm not very popular. No one tried to steal my name. So yeah, if you want to join the fun there, it has been quite the experience. It's been a lot of fun. Be sure to check that out in the description box. But today, it's Saturday. And for those of you that don't know what that is, for you newbies here, Saturday is when I do a little something called Bad Movies in a Beat, the series on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on. Last week, in an ironic display of misplaced intentions, I wanted to talk about a good movie for Bad Movies in a Beat because everything was so negative these days, only for me to do a movie that was a horror musical, easily the darkest film that I've talked about on this series, and that is Tim Burton's Sweeney Todd. So if you would like to hear me gush for upwards of 20 minutes about that movie and how much I love it, you be sure to check it out. Linked up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movies in a Beat playlist, because I actually put that one there as well. I don't plan to talk about good movies that often to make a whole separate playlist, so it's just popped there as well. This week, we're talking about a movie that has been requested from you guys pretty much since I started doing this. And I think it's due partially to my very cemented disdain for any film that has Noah never been in a good movie. I didn't even read the description. All I knew is that the film was called SWIPED and that it was made in 2018. In fairness, I didn't need anyone to tell me it would be bad because I already knew it would be because it had Noah Centineo in it. Prince Sabubu. Sorry. But with that said, nothing I could have read could have prepared me for the experience that is Swiped. Swiped, if I'm not mistaken, is a 2018 independent film. I would hope it's independent. Because if you put top dollar into that movie and it still looked like that and was performed like that and was written like that, but it's another one of those films that kind of look like a play. I think I'm gonna start calling films like this like a plim. Yeah. That word is equally as unattractive as it is to watch one of these type movies. The acting is so bad that it makes Noah Centineo look like a good actor. I've noticed that as a trend as well. He picks movies where he shines. Where he's the best actor in a crew full of people that have probably never acted before in their lives. But yes, the movie's awful. It's poorly acted. It has a very annoying and persistent moral throughout the story that I guess with its intention is somewhat admirable, but with execution just makes me angry. Like the entire movie is just so insulting to women, to everyone, but especially women. Poorly casted, poorly made, poorly filmed, poorly edited, undulating, flaming bag of human garbage. Shout out to Twitter fam. You know where that joke is from. It's insultingly one-dimensional and sexist. A dumpster fire of contrived morality and relatability that is undoubtedly written by someone in her 50s, if not 60s. Hell, she cast George Hamilton in a 2018 movie. She non-ironically cast George Hamilton in a coming-of-age 2018 film. Jesus. Note that age difference between the maker and the product is not necessarily unprecedented. Certainly not so. People over 40 love, for some reason, to make stories about teenagers. But because these people haven't been teenagers in so long, it's just this weird, like, inappropriate misremembering of what it's like to be a child. With that said, I have never seen a movie that quite screams it, like in your face, quite like this movie does. The whole time I'm watching it, all I'm thinking is like, I'm a cool grandma. I'm not a regular grandma, I'm a cool grandma. All young girls are silly whores who don't know how to respect themselves and therefore are not in relationships because of that. And all men are sex-driven sociopaths. Of course, there are women that use sex as a display of self-loathing. And of course, there are men that are awful. So many just insulting generalizations of both sexes. There's no nuance, there's no dimension. It just screams ill-informed old white woman wrote this. I think it suffices to say I hate this movie in every conceivable way. I'm on a rampage. I'm not even on the actual movie yet. The movie begins, and the film is centered around a geek named James. His sister is quote unquote normal and therefore judges him for being a nerd. Speaks in soliloquy like a psychopath.
One day, I will code an app that will really make a difference.
Yet again, the movie looks like a high budget YouTube sketch. I'm gonna need someone to write down like a equation or something, like high budget YouTube sketch is equal to greater than very low budget film. This looks fine, is performed fine, and is written fine for a free platform, but like I pay for Netflix. His roommate is Lance, played by none other than Noah Nabadabadoo. And Lance is a bro's bro. He's popular, he's aloof, he's literally every person that Noah, I'm running out of names for him, has ever played. He plays the same freaking person. Soon thereafter, we meet presumably supposed to be quote unquote the ideal woman. That is Hannah, the good girl, the chaste, the quiet, the mild-tempered, the boring, honestly. This guy comes up to her and basically says, hey, let's make out. And she's like, what's your name? Which is a fair question. And then in this super realistic display of modern interaction, he goes on and on about why does she want so much information?
Your last name is so much information?
Oh, yeah. This is a 24/7 portal to all the sex that I could ever dream about. You're obsolete.
Spoken like a true modern college student. No one has ever said that. Like no one has ever done this. Ever. But I suppose the idea is that Hannah is supposed to be the person that will be ridiculed and beat up because she has standards and she loves herself. Whereas there's this other girl, I don't know what her name is. They just she's just like silly whore. And I'm not saying that degradingly. It's just they don't give her any other characteristics than being like stupid and a whore. A silly whore that don't love herself.
Mind if I hook up with her? Whatever, Rachel.
Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. Her name is Rachel. Now, after that riveting display of very realistic college archetypes, we get some story development. We find out that Hannah and James actually already know each other. They actually went to high school together. And kind of the last time they'd seen each other, James had confessed his love for her in a very awkward context where he basically confessed it to a crowd of people while he was singing to her, and she got freaked out by that, rightfully so. Oh, this, by the way, is all told in exposition. Nothing screams quality quite like a linear shot and no B-roll. Speaking of quality, they really did a great job of turning Lance into a very believable character. Again, he's supposed to be like a bro douchebag, and instead of just doing that in some form realistically, they made it so that he's like a caricature of a bro douchebag. It's a comedy, whatever, but it's like not even funny though, because he has Rachel over, like the whore that she is. He has Rachel over, and in the morning his dad pops in and he needs to get her out of the apartment, so he rushes her out and kicks her out of the window.
Bimbo flying! Somebody catch her!
Who has ever said bimbo unironically if you're under the age of 50 years old? First of all. Second, by the way, I'm just gonna jump ahead in the sense and say they're at no point are gonna give him an actual redemption arc where he proves to be a better person. He just is at the end. So congratulations to that quality story writing. But anyway, he forgets the faces and names of people that he slept with, makes out with people right before class, and come in with a good old Pennywise. He's A womanizer. Womanizer. Oh, you're a womanizer, baby. Here's another thing about this film that really pisses me off. I didn't graduate college that long ago. I remember what college was like. Certainly before this 60-year-old woman or whatever who wrote this movie. All of her representations of class are so strange to me. Of course, granted, I'm speaking from my own experience and I know every college is different, but
I'm sorry, today's the first day of class. When did you assign this?
It was in your syllabus I sent each and every one of you over 2 weeks ago.
A, professors don't give out work before you meet, or very rarely do they, because they don't want to do the work either. It's a freebie. The first few days are a freebie. They give you a syllabus and they get paid. 2,
1, excuse me, take those off. Thank you. And stop looking at your nails. Thank you.
college professors do not micromanage you in this way, which is so strange again to me, especially when in CS, those tend to be very large classes. Also, why is their class in a shoebox? It's like this person that wrote doesn't remember that there was a distinct difference culturally between high school and college, or at least when I was in college, didn't nobody give a crap what you did. They didn't give a crap if you came to class. They got paid regardless. Anyway, Lance ends up coming up with this brilliant plan to not work that hard in class.
She can't fail all of us at once.
Again, false. At least at my college. If you had a professor that ended up failing everybody in the class, or most people in the class, they would applaud him. They'd say he's this incredible teacher because he's cutthroat. And then all subsequent people that would take that class would hear of the tales of the cutthroat teacher and would study harder. So no, they would not have a problem with you failing everyone in the class. It is what it is. 2, again, this might be from my experience, but especially freshmen, it was a dog-eat-dog world. We all wanted to be the most intelligent but most oppressed person in the room. You said you only had 2 hours of sleep? Well, I only blinked twice today. Shout out to the University of Michigan. Shout outs. University of Michigan students love to go on about how they're the most stressed out. They're stressed Olympics. Bitch, shut up. Like, yes, we're all floundering, Sarah. I know. Lance, troubled by all the girls that want him to treat them like human beings, says, you know what? I wish there was an app that existed where I wouldn't have to talk to any of these girls ever again. I wouldn't have to know their names. They wouldn't have to know mine. And it would be like a hookup app. And so, in order to get this app going, he decides to approach James and say, hey, if you make this app, I'll give you the money from my very rich father to go to that Ivy League that you've always wanted to go to, because he went to this college because he didn't have the money for it. And thus the development of an app called Jungle, an anonymous hookup app, is born. Now in another, yeah, this would definitely happen in college type situation, Lance in class says, hey, I'd like to be exempt.
Hey, teach. Yeah, I'd like to be exempt from said pop quiz.
Because I'm currently working on my own app, which more than qualifies, you know, me to not have to do this quiz, because those two things obviously have something to do with each other. And amazingly, the professor is like, sure. I don't know, maybe this is another college that happened. This happened somewhere, but the one that I went to, they would say, good for you. I hope that works. That has nothing to do with what you do in the class. You want to have time to do other things? Drop out. You came here. And if you can make a multi-million-dollar app without class, why are you here in the first place? Not to mention, there would have been a mutiny. We can all say we working on this damn app. Yeah, it's a class project. We all in this together. Nah, 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 nah. I'm delirious. I've been here for a full week, bro. Some time passes and Jungle is ready for beta rollout. And it quickly becomes a very, very hot topic, not only on campus, but just around the area. Old people are talking about it. Young people are talking about it. No longer do men have to suffer through expectations of commitment. No longer do they have to spend any money, time, or effort to get vagina, which in fairness, that is what Tinder is for. Why do we need another app for this? You don't need to know names. You don't need to know each other's names. You don't need to know nothing about each other. You don't have to talk ever again. Again, I thought this was Tinder, but okay. Also, this happens.
This has no age restriction. Give it to your 5-year-old cousin if you need to.
Is that supposed to be funny? Is putting a child on a hookup app supposed to be comical in any way? I'm not laughing. There's also the all too permeating trend of turning young women into bumbling idiots and simultaneously shaming them for being sexual. Kind of the whole thing throughout this movie, and the thing that makes it incredibly insulting, is that all the girls, if they're having sex, they are stupid, they are immature, they're self-hating, they're being used by all the guys in their lives. And it's like, maybe she just want to have sex. Like, the way it ends up being written is that all the girls end up going onto the app, not because they want to be on the app, not because they want casual hookups. It's because they're forced to get on the apps because that's where all the boys are. Maybe they just want to have sex. If this were an app that was so explicitly, I only want to have one night stands, and you go on this app, you know why you're going on the app as a woman. So if this was real life, she just want to smash. She wants consensual, non-committal sex, which, hey, you're an adult. It's not everybody's thing, but that's the fun. You don't have to go on the app. All I ask is be safe, wear a condom, stop spreading your freaking cooties. It's not just the corona that's the viruses that are going around.
Then you need to get on board and get with the apps. That's where all the guys are.
Like, women would only go on to this app to appease men. Like, they couldn't want to be on the app for the same reason that the men are on the app. You know what I mean? You're on a hookup app. You know what you got this app for. This whole film is just really big on debasing women for being sexual. Women, oh, when you want to be sexual, you're stupid and a whore. But when a guy is sexual, it's like, we don't expect anything from them. They're men. Either we both hoes, or we're both, we're just people. This movie just screams like archaic, internalized misogyny, honestly. Anyway, there's a scene where one of the girls on the app is like crying. I think it's Rachel. And she's crying in the hallway and her friends are trying to like make her feel better. The thing that was really confusing to me is that she's crying in the hallway and Noah Centinoobadooboo come out and his little henchman. And on the other side is James. And Noah's like laughing and stuff like, haha, I've ruined another crying woman. Fresh human blood I am being fed by her broken heart. Like, who responds like that other than an legitimate sociopath? He only feels bad when they start to say whoever made that app is such a butthole. You didn't feel bad prior to like, I haven't talked about this yet, but this movie feels so long. The movie's only like an hour and a half, but the reason why it feels like it drags on forever is because a good third of the movie can just be thrown away, because there's a part where they go on Christmas break. This whole Christmas break session, throw it away. You can boil down that entire section of the movie down to there's Christmas break, James's mom starts using the Jungle app. She's recently divorced and she wanted to find somebody. She meets one guy on there that's awful, and James, after finding out that his mom is consecutively using his app, takes it down, and then he's able to somehow take down all the other dating apps, because that's a simple task to do. Multi-million-dollar databases for things like Tinder, Hinge, yada yada. One dude. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's very improbable. But he just got to do his little click, click, bang, bang, boom, boom on the keyboard and they all shut down. But yep, that's what he does and people are freaking out. James is getting ready to go back to school and there's this scene that I could, again, consider throwing away because it is kind of a throwaway scene. But what the hell is the audio in this?
I needed to hear that. Oh, wait.
Also, there's some good old-fashioned virgin shaming.
I just want to let you know, I'm moving back into your bedroom.
Virgin.
This movie is just a perfect example of how people don't know how or what they want from women as far as sex. Because do you want them to be super sexual? Because you said that's bad, because you don't want them getting on apps, but you also don't want someone to be a virgin? Do you want her to be a hoe? Or do you want her to be a saint? What do you want? I just hate, and I've talked about this before, I hate it so much when films like this shame people in either direction. Also, you're telling me that James is not a virgin? James has the leverage to joke to his sister about being a virgin. Who's thrown it back on James? Maybe you should be ashamed of yourself. James got it thrown back on him, but you haven't. I'm joking. Again, just have sex when you're ready, people. When you're emotionally, financially, situationally ready to have sex, and it's with someone you feel safe with, it is what it is. I've said that so much in life. It is what it is. Also, sorry, we're back here again. The hypocrisy has not escaped me. He's having this whole moral high ground about how women shouldn't treat themselves as sexual objects. However, he degrades his own sister for not being a sexual object. That might be the most accurate depiction of male hypocrisy this movie has done. Anyway, break's over back on campus, and Lance is pissed that his app is down, rightfully so. He's offering someone a full ride to an Ivy League for this app. He should be making the app. And in order to not get his ass handed to him, James runs away and hides at a sorority house that has Hannah and the other girls on campus. The whole like 8 of them we've seen thus far. Oh, there's also this part that I almost forgot about. It's really weird and ill-placed, but James is like, why are you so shy? Because she very briefly mentioned this in the very beginning of the movie. And she goes into this whole thing about how she has a stutter. She never stutters this entire movie, nor does it like become something that's important in the film throughout it. It's just a little tidbit, a really specific and ill-placed character development device. So much so that it makes me wonder, is that an issue that the writer actually has? Like it felt very out of nowhere. Every girl in the room is insultingly stupid, and she must be educated and uplifted by this beacon of hope that is James, because the main person that should be educating women about how to empower themselves is a man. Because how else would they get their power back unless a man relinquishes it? Like, it's so mind-numbingly tone deaf. And again, super indicative that this was written by someone undoubtedly well into their 50s or 60s. Now, around this time, a little something else that doesn't make sense takes place, where Lance, again, Noah sent to never gonna be able to play in an actual movie if he keeps doing this, decides to out that James is the creator of the app. Someone gonna have to explain to me, because he does it as kind of like a FU to him, like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna tell everybody you're the developer of this very popular and very lucrative app. Then you'll see. Like, the only downside to everyone knowing that he's the developer of this app is that Hannah, the girl that James likes, thinks differently of James because he coded it. But like, this app, which is projected to be worth $250 million, you're basically telling everyone, yeah, that's my money, that's my app, that's my creation. I think I can deal with a broken heart, but hey, that's just me, I'm selfish. Also, he was acting like he was making this app in order to pass a class. So now you're saying on a national scale that you cheated? Unsurprisingly, once it gets out that James is the maker of this app, everyone's like, yo, that's cool. There's no negative consequences of that, other than these random girls and Hannah are like, why would you do that? But by the end of the movie, despite them being disheartened by finding out that James was actually the coder of the thing, it did not take anything much, like nothing much at all, to get Hannah to get over it. All he had to do was say, I love you. And she said, aw. In true crappy movie fashion, the last few moments of this movie does an exceedingly awful job to wrap up any loose ends. James's mom and dad get back together because James's dad saw her on a date with another man, and that boiled him up inside. So she's happy now because she's back with the man that left her for a younger woman. Hannah and James are together. And then, super confusingly, out of nowhere, Lance suddenly wants to be in a relationship with Rachel. Why? I have no idea. The last time they'd had any extended interaction, he was hurling her out of his window. Having no real interaction within that time in the end of the movie, he suddenly says, hey, I really like this girl. But yep, he like her now. So much so that he's going to her sorority house and carrying her books and wants to talk to her and get to know her now. When did he turn over a new leaf? When did he become a good person? They never show that. God, I hate this movie. It's so poorly written. I think it suffices to say that. It's awful in every conceivable way. Dare I say it's kind of impressive, actually. There does come a point, though, when you watch a bad movie where you say, hey, is it so bad that I would say don't watch it? Yes. It's not even like entertainingly bad. I get it. Whoever's grandma made this movie, I know you were trying to do a good thing. You thought you were helping, but you did quite the opposite. I think the beauty in woman empowerment is allowing women to make choices for themselves. In an effort to be uplifting to women, all you did was police and shame them. Not to mention, the least you could have done is served this moral up with like a female protagonist. That is all for today, folks. If you like this video, be sure to like this video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and also Twitch, all of which are KennieJD. If you have any more suggestions for bad movies and a beat, be sure to put them down in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!